talking about stuff. The Beardyheads.
Hi, I'm Jake.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Steven.
Who got quiet?
We're the Beardyheads. Welcome to the Beardyheads Gamecast.
Yeah, we're talking about games.
Yeah,
life.
that was a great intro. Way to really dynamic it up, guys. Good
Fucking
job.
right it was.
All right. Good job. Good job.
Hopefully we
try.
make a better
A+.
episode than last week.
Oh man, last week
Yeah, I know.
was
Well, to recap, Dave is a fucking creep and I'm not funny.
well. I mean, I've known that all my life.
Yes.
Well,
Really?
more or less
You
all my
haven't
life,
known
as
me
long
all
as
your
I've known
life.
you guys.
Let's say,
Yes.
you haven't known me all your life. Because I'm
No,
younger
I've known
than
you most of yours.
Ha ha! Bitch.
That's true.
Check
Yeah.
mate.
That is true.
Man, so yeah, it is January 10th, and it is T-3 weeks to the Beardyheads reunion, heading back
Yeah.
to Dallas.
All gonna cuddle.
About goddamn time.
Triple cuddle threesome, guys. We're all
Yeah.
gonna hop in the same bed. That's how we
Oh.
survive now. The full
Oh,
warmth.
and there was talk of salad tossing earlier. If you remember, we had
There
a salad tossing
was.
chain, a circle
The
toss.
circle of salads tossed.
Yes.
I like this plan. But
Oh,
yeah.
God, me too.
So yeah, I'm gonna be moving back to Dallas here in about 3 weeks. So hopefully then here in a couple of Beardyheads episodes, you'll be hearing all of us together in the same room, in a podcast, and on the stream for the first time. Well, the second time because me and Steven have streamed together online.
Yeah. Naked.
Wait, that's against the rules.
What, naked?
Yeah.
No, just let me
Yeah.
on camera. I turned the
Technically,
camera
Game
off.
Over
Huh.
Greggy broke the rules the other day.
Yeah, that's true. But
Who
I
broke
think
the rules?
I think he can because he's a poster boy for Twitch.
Ah,
I mean, if you get the following he has, you can do whatever the fuck you want on Twitch and YouTube.
because you bring in a lot of traffic.
He does.
A lot of money.
Yeah,
He does for
They
Twitch.
shaved his, but technically it wasn't his chest, so I think that was how they got around that.
Wait, he showed his dick on air?
Oh, you can't be shirtless.
No,
Yeah,
I said
can't-
he shaved his back, and what?
I don't
What?
know. Does that count? Does that count as Dave's moment?
Muskrat.
Okay. So, anyways, moving on.
Steve, let's talk about what we're playing. Steve, what are you playing?
Well, currently I'm playing Spider-Man 2 on the original Xbox and Marvel Puzzle Quest. And don't get me wrong, I don't like Marvel still. I'm just playing their games. But I just got a 5-star character in Marvel Puzzle Quest, and I know this sounds like stupid to you, but you know in all these pay-to-win games where you pay $20 to $100 for special currency to buy some bullshit character?
Yeah.
Well, I got one of those characters from fucking playing, and he is basically unstoppable. I got Old Man Logan, and he's a 5-star character, and the thing that's cool about him is it's basically, it's turn-based battle with, match 3 Bejeweled kind of thing.
Is this on? Is this a mobile game? Is it?
Yeah, it's Android and iOS, yeah. And it's one of those where he's one of those after every turn, no matter what happens, he automatically heals. And so he's fucking unstoppable.
Fuck, that's OP as shit.
Yeah, he's pretty much not. He throws all the balance out, and so you can just rinse through everything. And I'm just enjoying the fuck out of it. I love it. And it took me about 2 months to get him. Of every day I log in to play, and he's awesome. I think the amount of money I've spent on this game, I haven't gotten any character that's worth a damn besides this one that I got from just playing for free. But overall, I've spent about $10 on this game, and I don't regret it. It's a game.
That's better than me in fucking Fallout Shelter, man. That was my mobile addiction for a minute there, and I think I spent about $20.
Oh
buying
yeah,
lunch
$20.
boxes.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about that, but it's not really that hard to get lunchboxes in the game.
My mobile addiction
Later
is
in the
jump
game
car.
it is.
Oh, I see. I'm at I think I got 20 or no, I got 17 people living with me, so I'm still early game.
What were you saying, Dave?
My mobile game is addiction is jump car, which I don't pay a damn dime.
Never played that one.
Those are the best ones. Out There is also pretty good. I would also highly recommend Out There.
Temporary is like Frogger, kind of.
Well, I recommended it last week. Hitman Go. It was on sale for like $1. I think regularly it's $3, but it's worth every goddamn penny of $3.
I might have to pick that one up because that one did look interesting. It looked like Hitman plus strategy.
It is very, very good. It is definitely strategy.
Hitman has always had strategy.
Oh, this is definitely strategy. It is a puzzle game, and it's challenging as fuck. And the style of it is like a board game style, where you got your pieces on the board game, and they all move a certain way, and you can't do certain things until you do this first. And it's. I'm glad it's got the name Hitman on it because it fits in well. It's definitely got the strategy.
Got Hitman Sniper. I've been playing that. So.
That's fucking fun.
Ooh,
that game is fucking fun.
You've been playing some, going old school with some Spider-Man 2 as well, haven't you?
Hell yeah!
Like today, at least. We've been doing these podcasts today, and you've been...
I'm playing them for the gameplay, and I'm just having fun swinging around. I mean, I'm doing little bullshit missions like, my balloon! And
oh my god, my fucking balloon. I hate those goddamn missions.
And save this guy from a burning building and then drop him on the ground. Or, oh, this guy got in a wreck. Take him to a hospital. You know, the same shit. But, I mean, they're easy. The combat sucks still. But, you know, the game's fun because you're fucking Spider-Man swinging around New York City. And I still, what is it, 10 years, 12 years? I don't know how many years later. After
it's like 2003, I think Spider-Man 2 came out. 2004.
Yeah. I still climb to the tallest building and fucking nosedive off of it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's such a good game.
Oh, so, I love doing that crap.
So our YouTube audience that's going to be watching this podcast will be seeing this gameplay footage overlaid it. Our audio listeners just know that that's what I'm playing. And every now and then you might hear me tap a button because I'm getting my ass handed to me.
Well... That happens all the time.
Well, because yeah, that's true. I like to, you know, say please and hand me my ass. But the combat in this game is atrocious.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I do remember that. It was all combos. You had to earn them.
Yeah, but the story and everything else is amazing.
Story was pretty good. Plus, Bruce Campbell narrates it.
Yep. And he narrated all the Sam Raimi Spider-Man games. But, and Mysterio's in it. And the way they do Mysterio is like the way they should do Mysterio.
Which is he's just some dude?
Yeah, he's just some dude. And
what I loved about it, he's like robbing liquor stores and shit. They're just
he's like not cool at all.
Mysterio! It's like hands on his hips Spider-Man, you know, just like, you scoundrel!
And you know what? And I don't like Marvel, but the only Marvel I will read for hours on end is like old 1960s, 70s Spider-Man. Like the Steve Ditko, Stan Lee Spider-Man. Man, they were so good. And yep, this game is just as silly as those.
That sounds like it. It was. Well, you know what? I played the hell out of it, so I know it is.
Oh, I played the fuck out of this on PlayStation 2, and so I'm like, hey, it's backwards compatible on 360. Let's fucking buy it.
Yeah, I had it on the original Xbox.
Yeah, good games, good times.
So, Dave, how about you, man? What are you playing?
I've been playing Fantasy Life.
What the fuck is that?
You know, it's just kind of a weird little thing on the Nintendo DS. It's
Okay, good. So we can talk about this on the podcast. All right.
Well, we can talk about anything. Oh, okay.
I didn't know if you were actually referring to your Fantasy Life, and I was gonna put the kibosh on that.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, thank you there.
Hey, man, you're allowed to have a fantasy life. I'm not saying you're not. Anyways, what's so tell us about Fantasy Life. What kind of game is it?
Oh, it's basically an RPG type game. Have you ever played Harvest Moon? It kind of reminds me of that, only there's combat and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Basically, you can create your character, boy or girl, whatever, and you go to this kingdom, and in this kingdom, they have these things called lives, and lives are just jobs. And I wish life was this easy, where you just go to the guild and pick a job.
That actually sounds. That starts to sound pretty funny.
I mean, it
is a good game.
It is a good game.
I'm sorry, pretty fun. It's candy water's going straight to my head.
So. But yeah, I mean, you just like because I like to fight. I just picked a paladin to start with. But you can change lives in game and get new skills. And if you learn a skill in one class and you change to another life, life and class are interchangeable. Yeah, you still keep all the same skills, so you can become a master paladin, and then go become a fisherman.
And still have all the magic powers?
Paladins don't have magic powers, but you would still have all their sword skills and defense skills.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of like Planescape Torment in a way. Like Planescape Torment sort of had that same sort of thing going on, where you would die, but you could reclass after you died, and it was like at certain points in the story, you had to be a certain class to advance. I don't know. I haven't played all the way through Planescape Torment, but that's Planescape Torment, as I understand it. There's definitely games where you can reclass like that.
As long as it doesn't do like one thing I'd like about that system versus Elder Scrolls used to make me kind of angry when you would want to try and do as much as you could, but then you would pick a class that you could not do any kind of skill. You had no skill at anything else, like trying to be a mage, like trying to Oblivion to be a mage, the Mage's Guild quests. And if you were like a warrior or a thief, you were screwed.
Oh yeah. You basically had to train your magic up to get in there. Like if you didn't take it as skills,
because you have to like learn write out certain spells. Just like I remember, you had to learn a spell just to open one of the dungeons to go into.
Yeah,
but Fantasy Life, I haven't gotten far in it, but it's been fun. I beat the hell out of some mountain bandits, which was fun. I took their leader back and sold him to the government.
Nice. Yeah. My kids recommended that game for me, and I think I told you about that because you're on the fence about some other games. I think you were wanting a Harvest Moon game, or
I was wanting something kind of lighthearted, and I was like, hey, Fantasy Life. It looked good when I first saw it, and I was like, I've got some time to kill.
Yeah, Fantasy Life is like Animal Crossing, but with shit to do. That's not a chore.
It's kind of like another Harvest.
Of course,
it's like Harvest Moon.
Of course, I love Animal Crossing, but
art style it does look very similar to Animal Crossing.
Well, the people that made Fantasy Life are the ones that made Ni no Kuni, which is a JRPG that everybody needs to play, even those that don't like JRPGs. It's called Ni no Kuni. It's on PS3. I forgot.
That's the Miyamoto. I forgot Miyazaki.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the name of the developers, but Level 5, Factor 5. Oh, not 5. I think they made Road Squadron, but yeah, same people made Fantasy Life, and Ni no Kuni is a great game. Very, very good game, and you don't even need to like anime or Japanese shit because I don't like any of that shit. But I love Ni no Kuni.
Oh, those look like Miyazaki characters. It's
Yeah, they got what is it, Studio Ghibli or whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah, is this the Studio Ghibli game?
Well, they made they did the cutscenes, and so the cutscenes, they're not like these little cheap, stupid rendered cutscenes like in most games. No, they are actual full anime cutscenes. Like there's a lot of hours of cutscenes in this game, and it's a fucking anime, and it's very well made, very good production value on it, very good. I love it.
I'll have to check it out after I'm done with Fantasy Life and whatever else I've got.
Yeah, my sister-in-law has been talking about this game. I think they started playing it, but I didn't see them really do much in it, so I didn't know what was happening.
So Jake, are you there,
Yes.
Jake? What are you playing?
What am I playing? I'm playing Subnautica. I picked it up over the Steam sale. I don't know if I've talked about it yet, but holy crap. Like, Dave, you were talking in a previous episode about how you hate how open world games have sort of gone away from story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably like one of the best examples I've ever seen of how story works how story should work in an open world game. So basically, the whole plot of Subnautica, it's a survival simulator, early access survival simulator. So already out of the gate, I shouldn't like it.
Yeah.
It's already bad just by saying that. It's already like nothing I've liked so far.
It seems familiar.
Yeah. But like
it should, at least.
it immediately goes a different direction, which is you are on a spaceship, you're trying to terraform different planets. You crash land on the planet you're supposed to terraform. Your giant ship is like exploding and like spreading radiation, so you have to worry about that first until you can like basically build the supplies to go repair it so it doesn't leak radiation everywhere. But like the whole thing is sort of delivered. You have this AI that sort of gives you like warnings and stuff on what's happening. And then like after that, like the plot sort of tapers off. It's still an alpha, but there's obviously going to be something there. Like they just added sections of the ship you can find underwater. and then you go explore them, and you basically cut open cargo holds and stuff, and you find new technology that you didn't previously have, which is really cool. Honestly, that and The Long Dark, they're probably the two best early access games I've played so far.
You were saying you found previous technology that you didn't have, and you found it in the ship or just on this planet?
Well, basically, like when the ship hits the planet, it breaks apart.
Okay, so you're finding parts of the ship, because I was confused there. It's like you're just finding new technology on an uninhabited planet?
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the ship itself, and like it basically you're like rebuilding the technology that you had because like your archives or whatever are corrupted. So you got to go find like fragments of existing technology that you brought with you, and then analyze them to like figure out the rest of what you're trying to do.
It's like coming back from the fall of the Roman Empire for humanity.
Oh yeah, very very similar. Very good. That's a good analogy actually.
Fucking history nerd.
You don't have to be much. You don't have to be much of a nerd to know that one.
I didn't pay attention to history.
But like I said, man, it's one of the few open world games that actually uses the format to its advantage when it's telling the story. It's also fucking gorgeous. Two things I will say about it. There's no multiplayer, no plans for it. So that fucking sucks because I want to let me tell you something about this game. This game sold me at one moment. You build a tiny little one-person submarine, right? And you can get around in it. It's really fast, blah, 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 blah. Well, you find early in the game that you have these plans for this submarine called the Cyclops. And you're like, well, I don't know what that is, but I got this Seamoth. I'll build that first. And then you build the Cyclops. And the Cyclops is like a giant fucking sub. And you get in this sub, pilot it around the fucking ocean. Not only that, but your Seamoth, your little sub, docks up inside it. So you can basically run down to the cargo hold, jump in your Seamoth, dive down to 10,000 feet or whatever, dive down to however deep you have your Seamoth ready to dive, and then get the supplies and jump back up. It is so fucking cool, and as a result, it's not procedural. It definitely has a static map and stuff, but there's some. It is probably out of this year, this is the first game that's given me genuinely scary moments as far as survival simulators go.
This year that's 10 days old?
Yeah. Smart ass.
You be quiet. You be quiet.
How dare you inject your logic into our conversation?
Yeah, what are you doing here? Don't you know this is the Beardyheads Gamecast?
Yeah, we talk about bullshit.
We're supposed to be talking about our dicks and putting them in places.
And nipples and whatever.
Yeah, I got a belt made of nipples like Ed Gein.
Oh, that's
okay,
Dave.
that's...
Muskrat! What? Muskrat!
But yeah, there's some genuinely scary moments, and really, it makes procedurally generated games so far just it's what the fuck are you doing? The only game that's come close, and honestly, I kind of like it a little bit better, is Long Dark, but we'll talk about that some other time. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. There's probably some tunes from the interwebs, and we'll be right back with some news. All right. I hope you're enjoying the tune so far. Let's go ahead and go to some news.
Yeah. So I'm going to go first. Not really necessarily news, even though there's some current rumors about it. But Nintendo is working on another console. It's codenamed NX. And the current rumor, it's supposedly from somebody at Ubisoft, is that it is a cross between, it's basically a handheld and a console, which kind of makes sense. I mean, the only thing that kind of, I guess, reinforces the rumor, you could say, is the patent that Nintendo had where a controller had an LCD screen on it. And it makes me wonder if this is true. I personally, I mean, I think Nintendo makes the best handhelds, obviously. And, I think it makes sense if, they stop being gimmicky and just... This is what I want, basically. The NX, I want it to be the console It's going to have new games, and it's not going to have some stupid fucking controller. It just, a classic standard controller. And I want it to open up all of Nintendo's catalog, everything in the past, present, future, whatever. And you can download it, and you can play it on your NX console. And then when you leave, you take the fucking controller with you because it's a fucking handheld. And I think it's great. That's what I want with it.
That sounds similar to the Wii U, only making
I was just about to say, I've heard of this console before. It was released a few years ago, and it's called the Wii U.
Well, the thing about the Wii U is you can't take the little screen with you everywhere.
You can't take it with you.
Yeah, and if you can download it to, like, let's say I don't know how they would make it work, but if you downloaded it, you could have it in the controller. Basically, runs everything. And you can just, play it on your console when you're at home, and then when you are on the go, you can just play it on the go. I don't know if I really care for it to have two screens. I've kind of gotten spoiled to two screens because I've been a DS adopter very early. So I don't know. Nintendo has to do something because they're fucking up. And I love Nintendo, but they fuck up too much.
I mean, the good news is they'll still be around, at least with software.
Yes,
I can't see that going away.
If this next console fails, which I hope it doesn't, but if it does, which it very much could, they will be Sega, basically, and we will be playing Nintendo on our Xboxes and PlayStations, or we will be playing Mario on those.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, we'll be playing Mario and all that other stuff, and maybe finally we'll get a decent Rare game again.
Oh, yeah.
What, you don't like Connect Sports?
Oh my god, fucking Rare, what happened, man? You were so fucking good. Conker's Bad Fur Day, Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong Country, fucking Banjo-Kazooie.
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark, like, the titles that Rare put out in that era, up until basically the, I guess it was the Wii era.
I guess
maybe
we should say
GameCube.
I guess we should say GoldenEye for those people that'll get pissy if we don't.
Oh yeah, GoldenEye's a classic, man.
Was
GoldenEye's
GoldenEye a Rare game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, it was basically just like, hey, can we make a shooter? Oh, okay, let's perfect this with our next game, Perfect Dark.
Oh, Perfect Dark
will never be. Go ahead.
Perfect Dark was absolutely one of the best shooter on N64. Like, there was just no better shooter.
Yet nobody ever thought it was as good or at least my popular belief is that it wasn't as good, it seems, as GoldenEye.
Well, everybody has rose-colored glasses when it comes to GoldenEye. Play it today. Play the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye today, and after about 2 hours,
terrible.
After about 2 hours, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this game did not age well at all." Back then, it was tits, but today, Halo is better.
Halo was a good game, at least the first one.
The first Halo, well, that's what made, first-person shooters on the console, worth a shit.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm just hoping that maybe with the change we'll get something. Yeah. I don't know. Just Rare. I just know the Rare. What was it? The Rare pack.
Yeah, which I want. I want to get that, but it's still overpriced because that should be $20. It should have never been 50 or 40 or 30 or whatever it is. It's 30 now, but
I'd pay 30 for it.
I'll pay 20 for it because I'm only gonna play like a fraction of those games.
Yeah, Dave, you've had some pretty extensive. Didn't you just get a Wii U?
Yeah, I just got a Wii U. I've been enjoying it. I've been playing. I've only really played one new game on it, Super Mario World 3D or something.
Nice.
I mean, it's really interesting because it takes like the old platforming experiences, like and setup of the original Mario games, and then makes it like 3D, which is interesting. Where you go?
I heard that one's pretty fun.
It is fun, and it's multiplayer. We can all play it together sometime.
Yes, we need to. I'll tell you one game you need to get on the Wii U. Because I've watched Let's Plays of it, and it's just fucking gorgeous. All the games on the Wii U are pretty gorgeous. They look good. The Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
That does look good. It is
good.
The thing about Nintendo, which I hope they continue with this next system, kinda, at least for their first person, or their titles, is that they they don't look like incredibly realistic like real life,
Uh-huh.
like a lot of games, but they make it really detailed and colorful and just
Yeah.
look really fucking good.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
man, I
they
gotta
look
tell you,
good.
Splatoon looks gorgeous.
It is, and it's fun from what I hear.
Yeah, I have not heard bad things about Splatoon. I have not heard bad things about Zombie U. Though everybody did seem to be pretty happy that it got ported over to everything else.
It's an interesting game. I wouldn't say it's different, is what it is. I think it would play better on a Wii U than the other consoles.
You know, from everything I hear though about Wii U's games and stuff, you kind of gotta wonder why it's a failure, because all the games I hear are good things, really.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Lego Adventure Island. I don't
Lego
know.
City Undercover.
Lego City Undercover, man. I watched my brother and his kid play that game, and holy crap! Like, I was just like, as soon as I saw them playing that game, as soon as I saw my nephew like using the Wii U like 360 degrees around him to like find pieces of stuff and stuff like that, I was like, okay, this is what like Nintendo nailed it. Like, they finally
Yeah.
came up with kind of like motion controls that sort of work well, that aren't like super essential to the game, and like it makes it fun.
Well, that
And like they haven't been able to recreate that, except with like, I think there was a Mario Party type game.
Well, do you think the problem Nintendo has is a lot of, I'm not saying all gamers, but a lot of gaming is moved more adult oriented, or more big kids are playing it than little kids, because Nintendo really caters to a specific demographic, with the exception of like a handful of games. They are kid games or nostalgia games. I'm just curious, for the diehard Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever fucking nerds, if they really give a shit about playing another Mario game that they've played like 30 times before.
Well, I think for that, I mean, part of it's also a hangover from the Wii, is that
Ugh.
those kind of games are not made for motion controllers.
Yes.
I remember trying to play a first-person shooter on the Wii, and it's like, I don't want to
Oh,
sit here
man.
and hold my arms
It's
up like
awful.
I've got a gun in my hands for however long I'm going to play this game.
You know what would
What-
have saved the Wii is if they had a controller that, was mandatory. Every game had controls, like a controller, and the motion controls were optional.
You know, that's what it is on this Wii. I mean, they include
Yeah.
a little sensor bar that you put next to your TV, and
Yeah.
you can go and buy a Wii controller,
Yeah.
and you can do motion controls. And there's a gyroscope in the controller that comes with it. And it's kind of fun with the touch screen on that controller. That's kind of a nice little feature.
Yeah.
Though I will say that controller is like a little too big and a little awkward.
How's
It-
the battery life?
Not great, because it takes. I mean, it's doing all this processing power.
Oh.
I mean, there's the good thing about it though is they actually include 2 stands with the purchase,
Yeah.
and there's one that's just like a regular stand for your controller, and then there's another you plug the charger into. So you just throw your controller on there and it charges. You don't really have to plug it in. You just leave it all plugged in at all times.
That's kind of cool. Like,
I like that.
Yeah,
I'll get one whenever the NX comes out, and I'll go to a pawn shop and say, I want a Wii U for $150.
Oh yeah, I like buying the last gen consoles. I have a lot of fun with that. I just got a PS3. I gotta fix it, but
Yeah.
I gotta throw a new daughter board in there for the drive board. But
I love GameCube. I bought a GameCube after it was dead, and got so many hours out of it, because it's like way better than the Wii was. Also, like, underrated console. Like, wow, that was a good console.
dude, any system that had Eternal Darkness on it,
Yep.
holy shit, Eternal Darkness is worth the purchase of a GameCube by itself. At the
Yep.
price the GameCube is these days, like, Eternal Darkness is absolutely the killer app for GameCube.
I'm not gonna lie to you, the reason I bought it was for Rogue Squadron and its sequels.
Also, killer apps for the GameCube.
Yes.
It was the golden age of Nintendo, honestly, because they weren't. I feel like they weren't getting too gimmicky, and like the Wii sort of took it in a weird direction. And I like the Wii. The Wii is fun, but I have played the Wii more extensively. I bought one a while ago for like $70, and that came with like a controller and everything. This is why
money well spent.
yeah, and it's fun, but it's like obvious. Like the games that everybody says are the killer apps for that, they get boring after a while.
Yeah.
Like, it's obvious the controls are the gimmick.
And
Yeah. It
the-
was.
those games are like they're only really fun if you're with your friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Mario Party will ruin friendships, but that's what it's for. It's for when your friends over, or Wii Sports.
You know what? When I get out there, we're gonna stream some. We're all gonna get together. We're all gonna play Dakapon Kingdom because you think Mario Party ruins friendships, but you haven't played Dakapon Kingdom.
Well, you haven't played Fusion Frenzy with me when we
Oh.
do sumo mode.
Fuck you, Fusion
fuck
Frenzy.
your
By the
world-
way,
I'll fuck your world up with Fusion Frenzy sumo mode.
I still want to try this newest Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I want to play those, but yeah, back to Nintendo. Like, the NX needs to, it needs to do something, because Nintendo's hurting, and it's obvious. I mean, they're not hurting for money, but they will be if this console fails.
yeah. Oh, this will be it.
This will be it, and I really hope it succeeds because I don't want to think of a world without a Nintendo handheld because I've had every Nintendo handheld since the first Game Boy when I was a little kid. And I still play my 3DS, and it's gonna suck because the only handheld after that is gonna be the Vita, which is dead practically, and there won't be another one because it's not like Microsoft's gonna make one. It'll be tablet gaming, which Nintendo's
Microsoft
doing too.
Microsoft only cares about their phones since they actually make them now. Here's a question though: do you think that if this next console is a failure, if we'll still keep getting handhelds a little while longer from?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is I could see them getting out of the console market. I cannot see them getting out of the handheld market.
Not yet.
Yeah, because they make so much money on the fucking 3DS.
Oh, absolutely. The 3DS is a work of art. Like,
even though the regular DS was, I think it has better numbers or it sold more, but the 3DS, I mean, it's the best one. It's their best handheld, especially the new one. I mean, battery life, processor, everything. I mean, you can play your old DS games on it.
I think it's honestly the most impressive handheld I've ever played around with because it's just like you said, it's got backwards compatibility. The 3D is still cool. Like it's still used. It's not gimmicky. It's not mandatory, which I really love.
Yes. I don't use it unless it's like a boss fight in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
I use it sometimes just for like, I don't know, because it looks really good, but after a while, if you're not wanting to, your eyes will start to get like kind of hurt. Not hurt, but you'll be like, I don't want to focus in a way to see this as 3D.
Well, that and in certain games it'll make the frame rate drop if you have the old model.
I noticed my nephew he has both, and he definitely prefers his 2DS.
Yeah, he has the 2DS or the regular DS.
No, he has a 2DS, which is the big flat one.
I almost bought that for my son, but I figured he'd break it.
Dude, they are. This is a place where Nintendo knew what they were doing. That is a handheld for kids.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It will take a goddamn beating. This kid throws in his backpack. He steps on it. He pukes on it. I don't know. Kids are crazy.
That's the thing about Nintendo. Like Nintendo, they're fucking up. They always fuck up. But I don't want there to be a video game world without Nintendo because I mean, some of the best games from when us growing up to even most of our adulthood are Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And it would suck if, Nintendo can't make a console around because they do this gimmicky shit every now and then, but sometimes it ties into some cool shit. But
Zelda alone is a reason to keep Nintendo around.
Zelda and Metroid.
Mario Kart.
Yes, Mario.
I'm gonna
Mario
be that
Kart.
guy. Mario Kart is probably. I have never played a bad Mario Kart.
No, they're all good.
They are good. Mario Party is not bad either. Yeah. And even Pokemon has its place.
Baby's first RPG, as somebody else calls it.
As somebody else calls it.
Yeah.
Who's that? I don't know. Who doesn't like Pokemon here?
Well, it's a joke that another podcast he calls it, which I mean he hits the nail on the head. It is. It's baby's first RPG.
A lot of adults like to play.
I mean, I don't blame him because Pokemon is like it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I don't understand it, and I refuse to try.
It's one of those that whenever it gets you, you'll be full in. Like you'll understand why this is fucking addicting. Like Animal Crossing, there is no way I can explain to you why Animal Crossing is worth the money. It's one of those you got to play it, and then after about 2 hours, when it finally bites you, you're like, God damn it. I gotta go fucking pull some weeds and go shake some trees and get some fucking money out of them.
Oh, dude. Animal Crossing did that to me on the GameCube. Oh, the very first Animal Crossing. Like, we got to where, because it was back then, like, you could only do so many things in a day, and then
Yeah.
you had to advance the
tomorrow.
clock. Yeah, you had to wait till the next day. So we played like 6 months worth of Animal Crossing in probably 2 days.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
just a ridiculous amount. Like, I paid off my house, I built it all the way up, and you're exactly right. It was like, this game should not be fun.
Yep.
But for some reason, I cannot tear myself away. That bastard Tom Nook has me on the hook
Yeah,
for like
that
20,000 bells.
Fucker. Yeah, we play it. Everybody in this house, they all own a copy of it on the 3DS, and the 3DS version is the best version of Animal Crossing. And you can go into each other's towns and fucking fuck around. I like go into my kids' towns and I pull weeds and I dig holes, and so they, have to go cover them up.
You do all the old person stuff while they get to have fun.
Yeah,
Pulling weeds.
Yeah, they're busy decorating their house, and I'm like, I got work to do.
I got things on my mind.
I don't know why I always wanted to play Animal Crossing on GameCube, but I never got around to it.
Just get it on 3DS.
Yeah, I think
it's
3DS is probably exactly almost the same version.
Yeah, I think it's better. But it's $30, and just get it, and at least sink about 20 hours into it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You're not gonna miss anything in the Animal Crossing storyline.
There is no story.
I didn't
it's
think
basically life. Pay some fucking bills and work.
But there's animals, so it's not quite as boring as real life.
There is an island you can go to, and you can go fishing, and I catch sharks there. And when you sell sharks, you get like $10,000 for a shark, and so you can pay off some shit quick when you catch some sharks. And so it gets pretty fucking competitive when Stephanie and I, my wife, when we're playing Animal Crossing, and we're fishing, and I was like, oh, I see a fin. It's my turn. That's my shark. Yeah, it gets there.
All right. Any other news, Jake?
Jake?
Well, as everybody probably knows, if you are involved on Twitter, if you are on Twitter at all, the Oculus Rift was released was announced. The release date was announced. The price was announced. All the details about the Oculus Rift are now out in the open. And people are having a shit fit about this, by the way. Because the thing retails at $600.
Shit.
I'm going to be the opposing voice here and say you should have expected it. This is a first-gen new technology. And
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Is the iPhone 1 is really what this is more like. Everybody's making comparisons to the iPhone 5. And they're like, well, when the iPhone 5 came out, it was $600 and it does all these other things. This is not the iPhone 1. Or this is not the iPhone 5. This is the iPhone 1. This is disruptive technology. There's never been anything like it. The closest we have are some goggles you can put your phone into. Like
now,
Google Cardboard or whatever.
No, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Samsung had it. I tried to try it at Best Buy the other day, and it didn't fucking work. But anyways, what I'm curious about, since this is $600, if I pay $600 for this, version 2 or generation 2, what do you think as a technology company? Because with the iPhone, they got fucking features and all that other horse shit. But what can you do to the Oculus on an annual basis when you want to keep making Oculus Rifts, basically? I mean, what's the Oculus Rift 2 going to be? Is it going to be 4K or whatever?
I think that's probably, yes. I think that's probably the first thing they'll fix is they're going to improve the displays. Because the displays are already apparently fantastic. They are not scanning displays. They're globally refreshing organic LED screens. So that means the whole screen changes at one time rather than scanning down from top to bottom like your TV does, or like pixel by pixel like other TVs do. It displays right now. Each one of those is at 1080 resolution, so basically a virtual resolution of 2160, and a base of 75 frames per second.
Wow!
So already out of the gate, like these things.
How's it powered?
It is, I believe
USB?
it's USB.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Probably
got a huge
USB
generator.
3.0. Yeah. You just
Huge.
wear a diesel generator on the back of your head.
I was about to say 75 frames a second. I was like, well, this isn't battery powered.
You
But
just
yeah,
got this backpack.
I mean,
It's a
that
whole
was what
thing.
VR was. Remember, like VR, like in the '90s, they came out with VR, and it was wireframe. It was like it wasn't even real 3D. It was like wireframe meshes. It was really fucking shitty. There was no detail possible. This basically is not just VR either. It's basically you're combining the functions of VR, a VR headset. You've got track IR, so you basically have three-dimensional movement in a three-dimensional space. It will track that, and then on top of that, it's got 3D headphones. So when you're moving to and away from things, you have like wonderful sound in your ears that is like getting smaller and getting bigger, like going from one side of your head to the other. Like it's 360-degree head tracking. It doesn't matter where your receiver hardware is. Like that's fucking amazing. That's never been done before.
That is
No.
amazing. Here's a question. What kind of input system does it have? How do you input controls?
Right now, I think they're shipping with an Xbox One controller, but they are coming out with the touch controls pretty soon.
Yeah, I saw the touch, and then like a little thing you hold between your thumb and your index finger or something. What is that?
Yeah, I haven't actually done a lot of research on the Oculus version. I was watching actually a game developer was testing the Vive. And he had the Vive touch controls, which are kind of like they're almost like Wii controllers with rings on them. They're a little bit weird, but they're kind of cool. I believe the touch controllers for the Oculus are supposed to be haptic, so you're actually going to get
nice.
force feedback in them. Yeah, that's
Well,
going
I
to be
think-
fucking cool.
Well, I think for like immersive purposes, because the whole purpose of this is immersion, and the touch controls make sense. Like you would want something like that, and I'm always the skeptic when it comes to this shit because I'm always like, it's a gimmick because I'm always thinking of the Wii because it was a gimmick. And so it's really hard for me to jump on the bandwagon. And I didn't really think of it seriously because I saw a bunch of the dev kit games, which are all, stupid games that are fun. But I was never really, invested into giving a shit about it until recently you posted a video of this game called Adrift.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that and I was like, I can see me wearing this goddamn headset and my wife taking stupid photos of me and putting them on Facebook and me being like grabbing shit out of the air, being like, God damn it, give me that air canister.
Oh my god, Adrift looks so good.
That game looks good because that's the possibility of what games can look like on an Oculus, because the only games I've seen are like that bomb defusal game, which is cool, but it's, after like 4 hours, you're like, I've seen everything with this game. Adrift looks badass.
Dave, have you seen Adrift yet?
No, I haven't. I'm looking it up right now.
Holy fuck, it looks good.
I
does
actually,
look
your
good.
reaction on Twitter, I was like, you were like, oh, it looks, I forget what you said, but you basically shot it down. I'm happy to hear that impressed you.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I gotta say, that was the one title that I saw that I was like, I will buy an Oculus now. I am on board.
I'm always trying to be the cynic, but I watched that and I was like, God damn, that's immersive as fuck.
It makes you like feel like a little kid playing games again. Like you're seeing something you haven't seen before.
And honestly, I watched it and I was like, I can see spending $600 on this shit because this is fucking cool. If all the games are immersive like that, then I don't see a problem paying $600 for it. I don't want to buy an Oculus Rift every 2 years though. I want to pay $600 and that be awesome for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dave, where do you stand on VR in general?
I'm interested. I'm curious about it. But part of me is like, I don't know if I want something stuck on my head for that long. Like, if you're going to get into a really long gaming session and you're just sitting there forever.
Yeah.
You pull up a really good point, but I'm going to give you the counterpoint to that in that Oculus, like, they have put more thought into this product than anybody has ever put into VR before. Everybody considered VR a gimmick and unreachable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those. I'm like, this is dumb. And even Sony saw the value in it. I mean, they're making their own, which I hear is actually pretty good. And if I get a PS4, and I swear to God, I heard this. I think that one's retailing for $200. I don't know.
Really?
I read that somewhere, but that is just Wow, that's
I
a
don't-
price.
I don't know why everyone's mad about a $600 price point. That's what
Oh.
the 60 gigabyte PS3s when they came out were $600.
Yeah,
Right!
and,
Like,
and nobody
that's what
gave
I-
a shit about that.
a lot of people are going like, "Oh, it's a peripheral." Like, that's one of the things is it's a peripheral. It's not likely to change a whole lot. Like, we might get an Oculus 2 with like 4K resolution, but like right now we don't have hardware that runs that. Like, we barely have hardware. Number one, everybody complaining that like it's too expensive for them. They're not the target market. The
No,
target
it's-
market is the guy with the $1,500 gaming PC and the $400 to $900 GPU inside it that can handle the goddamn thing.
Yeah, the guy that's fucking serious about this shit.
Or at least the people that are serious, and if they don't have the money, are going to be the ones that will actually try and save the money and do what it takes to get this thing.
I think what's going to really help Oculus, VR in general, is a lot of people are like, it's a gimmick, it's stupid, like me. But I think if you had an opportunity to just try it, like if they put this, like if Sony was smart, and they would put this, whatever it's called, Morpheus or whatever the fuck their VR is called. If they put that in Best Buys, if they just had that where you put it on it, where you had a little Lysol wipe where you wipe it off for the fucking lice kids. But if you could just try it out just to see if it's worth a shit, because that would help people be like, oh, I could see why this is worth the money. That, and if you launch a bunch of shitty games with it, nobody's really going to give a shit at first.
Oh man, but here's the thing. Oculus launches, it's an Oculus exclusive with Eve Valkyrie.
Yeah, that's going to be fucking amazing.
Eve Valkyrie is a space sim in the Eve universe, and it is the first time since the fucking Eve first-person shooter or whatever that ended up flopping terribly.
Oh, that was an awful game.
I never even touched it. Once I heard the initial reviews, I was like, nope.
It was free to play, and it was bad.
Was it free to play? Did it really go free to play?
It started free to play.
Oh, I didn't know that. No wonder it was terrible. Because that was during the glut of like everything is free to play. But yeah, Eve Valkyrie is an exclusive, so you're gonna get to fly spaceships.
God damn.
You're gonna get to fly spaceships in VR. You're gonna be able to hook it to your computer, play Elite Dangerous, and fly more spaceships in VR.
Yeah.
Like all of it, like that already is telling me they're giving a lot of thought to launch titles for or just VR titles. Keep in mind, this is nothing is exclusive to the Oculus.
Yeah.
Here's a question. How do you think people with motion sickness, how do you think that's going to affect?
Oh, they will not adopt it at all.
Well, I mean, like, do you think that the population at large might have enough problem with it? We don't really realize it. That might be a turnoff. People don't want to risk it.
Oculus and their investors are going to find out really, really fast. Because the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to get bought up by arcades. You're going to see the return. This is my prediction, by the way.
Oh, God, I hope arcades come back.
God,
this is my prediction about VR, is that VR in the early adopter stage is primarily going to be something you go to an arcade to play. You go with your friends, you have a couple beers, you go to the VR arcade, you play a couple of rounds of like Junkyard Wars or whatever that game is, where you like make guns and stuff, and you can like crouch around and like run into each other. You play like VR Arma or like some other crazy crap. Like, that's going to be the first thing. The second thing is going to be like, it's going to start coming home. I think that's when it'll start coming home. But in the arcades, that's where it's going to make, my prediction is it's going to make the most money, and where all the games are going to be sort of focused. And it's probably for the first 5 years or so, it's going to look a little gimmicky. Like, there's not going to be any really deep games for it.
Well, they're making No Man's Sky, I think, is supposed to be going for it, even though...
Oh, yes.
I am very optimistic about No Man's Sky, but at the same time, I'm like, I hope you can deliver. I think it's going to have a lot of filler.
It's, look who it is.
Else.
It looks like the kind of game I just can't get into, because it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's more of a personal problem of, make your own story. It's like, okay, I can do that for a while.
Yeah, you like immersive stories. See, I like the kind of game where I can make my own story, because, I don't know, I just have more fun with that. But I can see No Man's Sky being good, but I can see it flopping fucking hard, because they're hyping the shit out of that thing.
And I kind of feel like, go ahead.
And I just, they're hyping the shit out of it, but it's like, you need to show more, or give me a solid release date or something, because there's nothing mentioned of the story, if there's a story. I mean, all I know is I can just like fly to random planets and fuck around, which I like because I want to do that. I want to, go to planet and name it. This is my planet. I found it. This is my goddamn planet. It's called Steven.
It
Nothing
looks
fancy.
Looks like it is set for a June 2016 release for PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah, that's for console. Yeah,
but is this an early access title, or is this is that like a hard release?
That's supposed to be a hard release because Sony's not doing that early access shit, as far as I know. That's Xbox is real into it.
Oh man, which is unfortunate because I think it's just derailed. But we'll get into that some other time. But I think it's derailed the development of Ark.
Oh yeah. Ark is, if Ark is going to be released, I don't think it's going to be well received.
No, 1.0 will not be well received. It'll be, I think it'll be like Minecraft. The whole community will have played it and been done with it by the time like 1.2, 1.6 comes around.
And what I think with Ark is on Xbox One right now, I think it's $24.99, which is good. If I ever get because I am interested in playing Ark regularly, but if I ever hear any notion that they're planning on raising the price to like a full retail game price, I would probably buy it at $24.99 because at its current state, it is not worth $60 at all.
Good thing we all get it on PC at early access.
Yeah. As long as that PC runs it.
We'll see. They have so many problems that even if you have a really good PC like mine or Jake's, if you're playing multiplayer, you still drop so much.
I'm lucky to get 30 frames a second.
If I was playing single by myself the other night and it was looking really good, but if you're trying to process other people in your world,
I think that was part of it as we were doing the non-dedicated server.
I mean, I get they want to do realistic graphics, but I mean, why didn't they do some chintzy little childish looking graphics instead of realism that might have helped them? I just don't know why they chose that.
It would make more sense for an early access game to make it simpler so you can kind of get a base idea of what needs to be done.
I mean, not to detract from the developers. They're doing a damn good job, and the game is, I mean, it's great. I can't run it on my computer currently, but I get what they're doing, and I'm all on board. I mean, watch the fucking trailer on Steam. Just go to the trailer and watch it, and you'll be like, why haven't I played this game ever? But I just, I want it to do that, and right now it's not doing that for me.
Yeah, that was my problem. Anyways, back to the Oculus. Community kind of seems split about this.
Yeah.
As we have been seeing on Twitter, everybody's been complaining about it. Boogie put out a Francis video, and then he put Total Biscuit put out I will now talk about the Oculus for 27 minutes. Some people are okay with the price. Total Biscuit is among them, which I am in agreement. This is the early adopter stage. Everybody's talking about how Oculus has been around for a while. It should be lower. Oculus is not released yet. Everything you've seen has been on development kits. Everything you've seen, you have been lucky to get your hands on.
Yeah.
It's because people are developing games for it, and they're hyping their games. It's not anything about the fucking Oculus being released. Some people think it's too much when other companies are putting out decent VR hardware for like $200, like PlayStation is.
Actually, I was just reading about that. It's not $200. Apparently, there was an error the other day that it got posted to Amazon, and it had a price point of $800.
Oh,
no one believes it. Yeah. No one believes that, and Sony said it's not going to be that because Sony's not stupid enough to try to release new tech for $200 more than its competitor.
I mean, if you think about it, Sony doesn't have the same hardware requirements. Yeah, I was going to say 250, 300 because it doesn't have to render at 60 frames, 75 frames a second. It's going to render at 30 frames a second because that's what the PS4 is locked at.
Well, here's the thing. Are they released? Is it just going to be
It's not locked at 30.
I thought the PS4 was locked at 30 frames a second.
It'll be a peripheral.
Just a peripheral?
No.
Okay.
The only reason why a lot of the games is because Xbox, a lot of games on Xbox One are 30 frames because the way its network or its memory structure is.
Well, that explains why
there are definitely games on PS4 that are 60 frames a second. It's Xbox having their third-party games be fucking 30 frames to make everybody happy, which there are some developers which actually patch it afterwards and say, nope, PS4 is 60 frames, Xbox One 30, maybe.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, let's face it, the PS4 is the better hardware, but
Yeah, better hardware. I would say the interface is Xbox One. But anyways, we are on a fucking wild ass tangent right now.
But yeah, some people think 600 is too much for the Oculus. Some people, I happen to be among the people who's like 600's fine.
I get it. I mean, I would honestly, if all three of us pitched in, I would not be upset with that. I think that would be worth it, even though one of our computers would probably run it, but that would make, we would all get enjoyment out of it.
I would absolutely pay you pay $200 to buy a share in an Oculus, 100%. I'd buy one outright, honestly.
I was thinking even as an early access, I was thinking we might want to do that so we can get in on it early and check it out.
Yeah.
How much do you think is this gonna be its final price, or is this just gonna be for early adopters? Do you think later on it's gonna be like $1,000 peripheral or anything like that?
No,
I don't think it would go up.
No, it won't go up. This is a thing called penetration pricing, and you see people do that. Yeah, I know, right?
I'm surprised Dave didn't say anything.
Right, Dave? What are you doing, man? He's saving it.
He's saving his one. Yeah,
he's saving his one. This is penetration pricing, and what that means is they have a new thing, they're putting it on the market, and they want to put it in as many hands as possible. So, like, there is an advantage to pricing something high, because people automatically assume that that's a great thing, because it's expensive. So they have, like, a thing that's priced high, and then, like, when sales kind of start leveling off a little bit, they'll drop it $100. I mean, you see it with every console. It's like when sales start leveling off, they drop it $100. They drop it $50. They drop it $150. Until it gets down to like $150, $200, and that's usually like its retail price. Like the 360 was like that, I think, until the end. Like when they were releasing like new versions of the 360 every 3 months. It was basically like they would drop the original 360 down and drop it down and drop it down, because I think the original 360 retailed at about $600. I want to say $500. It was pretty expensive.
Yeah,
400 maybe.
I think it was 400.
I think it was 400. I can find out real quick.
I remember the first PS2 was 300. My mom was like, "That's ridiculous," and then she sold all of my Nintendo 64 games and bought me one for Christmas, for what will always be called the best Christmas ever.
Yeah. But yeah, I expect it to be around $400 as at least the Oculus One. And then if the Oculus 2 does get released and we do have double 2K resolution, like that'll probably be at $500. Like they won't release it as high, but it'll still, basically they have to. And here's the thing, I believe them when they're saying I'm not making a profit. Like, what is the guy's name? Palmer Luckey?
Yeah.
Palmer Lucky Palmer. I can't remember what name comes first. He's basically just got the best action movie name in the world. But like, Palmer Luckey is like, hey, like, we're not even turning a profit on this at this point. But by the time they can get it economies of scale, like iPhone does, like the price is going to drop just like the iPhone did.
Yeah.
Most likely.
What made me, I mean, I was always kind of like, it might be a gimmick because, this shit. But what made me kind of, I don't know, start to turn, besides that video you posted, was John Carmack for a while was attached to it. And if you know anything about tech, John Carmack is the man, because his games, they all lack substance, but they are all gorgeous. And, he's involved with something that is going to be revolutionary, visual, immersive wise, tech wise. And, when they say these things are going to be like fucking $600 to come out, I'm okay with that. And, if they ever have it lower in the future, I get it. But I totally don't see a problem with 600. I mean, it's the price of a console or a console and a half, but I was expecting higher, honestly.
I fully expect that you will only ever have to buy one Oculus Rift. I don't think that they will ever, like, it'll be a good time, a good chunk of time before they release the Oculus 2. It's not going to be a yearly thing.
I think the only way you could really improve on it is, like, as the future goes along and you get, like, lighter weight materials and stuff like that.
those are the improvements you're going to see, I think, is comfort improvements, lightness. They're going to learn how to do things cheaper, and so like it's going to drop in price because of that.
Do you
Or they're
think they're
going to
going to
learn how
optimize
to.
it?
Oh, absolutely.
Where you can be like, well, you can start to run it on these other kind of computers instead of these fucking beastly machines.
Well, I mean, if you like the last round of big video card releases, the Radeon releases at E3, like those releases, like I bought a brand new top of the line Radeon card. I didn't get the 390X. I got the 390, an R9 390.
How much
And it
was that?
$329, and that'll run the
Oh.
Oculus.
That's not bad.
Like, so for $1,000, like already you're in Oculus territory.
Yeah, and you'll be in Oculus territory for years.
Exactly. It's never gonna get worse.
I mean,
Yeah.
I look at it this way. It's as far as gaming goes. If you think you're not going to get a lot of time out of your money investment, don't get the Oculus. But if you think that you can get hours and hours and you can play almost every game in it or most of your games, go ahead and get it. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. It makes fucking sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait just until I try one, and once I'm sure I'm gonna try one, like one way or the other, I'm buying it. I'm on board.
I have to try one at this point
Yeah.
because anything video game related, I have to try at least once. And I mean, this is the new thing, and VR is, if it's not a gimmick, that could be the future of gaming. I mean, if it's an accessible price, I can see if there is another generation of consoles or whatever form it's going to be, releasing with VR of some sort, if it takes off. Because I mean, I don't need to get a TV. I got a fucking VR headset.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
times.
So Dave, you had a news story for us too.
Yeah. So, you guys have played Black Ops 2, right? Or have
Yeah.
you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I played the
you-
first one.
Well, in the second one, there's the modern, or there's the futuristic world, but there's also like flashbacks to the to past events, and apparently one of the people portrayed in that event, Jonas Savimbi, he was an Angolan rebel chief.
Yeah.
His family, that they live in France, some of his descendants, and they are suing Activision over the betrayal of Savimbi in the game.
Interesting. This is the second time this has happened, right?
Yeah. What was it? Noriega. Noriega sued, but that got thrown out of court because no one gives a damn about Noriega except Noriega.
I remember that. When that was in Black Ops 1, wasn't it?
No, Noriega was in 2.
Was he in 2?
I'm pretty sure he was in 2.
Is that the mission where you just start off with a machete and you just hack the shit out of everything?
I believe so.
Yeah, they portrayed him great.
Well,
It sounds like he's a very level-headed individual.
He is a very level-headed individual. Those were words I said.
No, man, Noriega's cool. Now you can never unsay that. It exists forever in the realm of the internet.
Yeah.
we have a Noriega sympathizer. Are you going to Florida to demand his release now?
Oh, he's captured? That's cool. That's how relevant he is.
Wait, you really didn't know he was captured?
I don't know who the fuck he is. I just thought he was a guy in a video game.
No.
Yeah, I think it's that's an interesting, because I mean you don't see that happening in movies. Like I don't often hear about people being sued, or maybe just because it's video games and like it's unusual to see living historical figures in video games, unlike movies where it's pretty common to see living historical figures, and usually they have that this is not a representation of persons alive or dead, which I'm sure Black Ops has that same thing, which feels like to me that should protect them.
Well,
I
and
mean-
Straight Outta Compton, the movie, what's the guy that Paul Giamatti plays, the real life guy, he's suing him. For a
Yeah,
Not
lot.
surprised.
Yeah.
Of course,
I haven't seen the movie.
The strange thing about this lawsuit, like the Noriega lawsuit, that was in America. So there were a lot of protections and different laws, like first freedom of speech, and since it's considered a form of art, video games, I guess. But
Expression.
free expression. But this is happening in France, so I'm not sure how this one's going to play out. It'll probably get thrown out because most people don't care about letting you?
Well, I mean, like worst case scenario, it's like they will take a cut of games of revenue from France, which is like means the 3 copies of Black Ops that get sold, Black Ops 3 that get sold in Paris or whatever. Now that they have all these crazy laws about violence and stuff, the 3 people who buy this game, Activision will have to give the Savimbi family, 2 cents or something.
Nice.
I don't know. French law is
paid.
weird.
Here, I've got. Here's 2 pennies. I've got 2 pennies for
What
you to
about
rub
bird
together.
law? Is bird law that
Bird
difficult
law?
in France?
I'm not sure if bird law applies here.
I'm not even sure what bird law is. I'm hoping it's made up.
No,
It
it's
might-
real.
It might
Really?
be. It's like
Huh.
maritime law, except for birds.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
But yeah, so that's sort of an interesting precedent, though, especially for the rest of the Black Ops games, because Black Ops sort of makes a name for inserting players into historical events, which I've always liked. Like the first Black Ops had the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
You attempt to assassinate Castro.
Don't
and I
you
didn't-
assassinate a decoy? I think.
Yeah,
You end up
kill
killing a decoy. Yeah.
I actually did that on a stream not too long ago while we were recording a podcast.
That was a fun game.
I enjoyed the first 2 Black Ops. I mean, it's basically alternate history, which is why I enjoy it. And it's kind of, I mean, I remember Jake at one point saying, "Oh, this is like a cheesy spy movie." And I was like, "Yes," and that's why I enjoy it.
It's like
Yeah.
watching an '80s action movie with like a lazy spy plot line thrown in there to like explain why Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking around with a minigun.
Well, why would you not walk around with a minigun?
I mean, that happens. Of course, it happens. It didn't happen to you.
I
I mean, there was that one time.
About to say you've lived in Texas.
Yeah, I lived in Texas, so I mean, pretty much everything about us is true.
Yeah. I just I gotta go shoe my horse when we get done with this.
Oh yeah, I know. And then you gotta go wrangle up 10 head of cattle and take them down to give them as an offering to the trading post so that the Indians don't attack. Like you do.
Like you do.
Then we're gonna go to the swap meet and watch a tractor pull.
Hell yeah.
Actually,
then
I'd
we're
watch.
gonna go
I'd watch the
sticking.
fuck out of a tractor pull.
Where's our tractor pull video game, by the way? I feel like there needs to be one.
Well, when Just Cause 3 has a multiplayer mod, we can totally do that.
Oh, I look forward to flying your tractor attached to my tractor across the
Actually,
map.
We could do it in Just Cause 2.
We probably could, couldn't we? Yeah, you could spawn tractors and stuff.
You can spawn tractors and you can attach them. You just can't reel them in. But yeah, we could do a tractor pull in that. We should probably do that now.
That sounds like fun.
We have the idea. It must happen.
But anyways, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be discussing early access. So make sure to stay tuned. All right, and we're back. Thanks for hanging in there for all of the 30 seconds of music that you had to hear, or whatever it was.
It's probably just the most horrible music too.
Well, come on, man. The guy was nice enough to give us his music for free, to call us out on yeah.
Hey, guy that made the music, Dave says you suck.
Yeah.
So
Well,
kill him. I think
and he hasn't even
I
heard
think
your
you're
music.
Wonderful. I think you're wonderful, and I haven't even heard it.
Yes.
I just
Thank
like to be
you. That's
oppositional.
at I believe it's at the Adam Wade is who our music's by today. But I'll make sure and plug you in the show notes so everybody can go by and see you. He's actually trying to get some traction, trying to get get his music out there. So he's providing free music for people doing YouTube and Twitch streams and podcasts and stuff like that. So we really appreciate the brotherhood there, sort of the backup we're getting. And he may even end up doing some stuff in After Effects for us. So we'll see.
I hope we can help him get big.
I hope so too. I hope it's a mutual embiggening. But anyways, today we're talking about early access to talking about which early access games have you played, which ones looked worth the price, what the just the general stuff. Just early access as a concept, the broad strokes. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Dave, how about you? What do you think about early access?
I'm a fan. I do like it. Um, as long as you're not paying a good deal or like a high amount, because if the developer goes under or something happens, you don't want to be paying like 20-30 bucks for something that never got finished. But I've enjoyed the early access. Mostly I've just been playing Verdun. That's the main one I got into. And early access is also just when they're working out the programming bugs, you see some funny things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have
Like,
to agree. I do like sort of being involved in alpha and beta testing just for that reason.
I mean, like I poke my head over a trench and the sun is now a German head.
Oh, the Verdun.
Yeah, that happened once. I looked over the trench and as the match was ending and there was just this head in the sky the size of the sun. I was like, well, I can't miss that.
How about you, Steve? What's your opinion on early access?
Well, I certainly think the developers they're taking a big risk, because your first impression and gamers, they're a bunch of needy assholes, and they want it to be a specific way, and they are taking a risk, and the first impression of the game could be shit, and that could forever change certain people, and they would always just be like, "Oh, that game sucks," because of that early version I played. It totally still sucks 2 years later, but I also think that they should not get cocky and raise a price. I think there should be just a flat price for all early access. Like, I think $20 is perfect. I don't think you should have a $50 early access or anything higher than 20, basically.
I'm kind of with you there. Like Subnautica and Long Dark are both retailing at 20, and those are both excellent early access games. Like they feel like complete games already
Yeah.
almost. But then there's like DayZ, which has been in early access for its entire existence. I think it's like 3 years now, 2 or 3 years now, and still hasn't even hit beta, and uh, still hasn't even gone down in price from $35. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's why
not
I haven't bought it yet because of that.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it, and I mean, the shitty part is like you see a lot of early access games and they take advantage of the Steam sales. And when the Steam sales come in, like they chop it down to like 50%. They add a bunch of people to the player base. It adds a whole lot of testing that you didn't have before. It replenishes your player base where people have dropped out because it's been in early access for so long. Kerbal had that problem where they were seeing massive drops in players after a time, so they just dropped the price by 50% to kind of replenish their players and then like build the community back up. And by the time they reached 1.0, I mean, they had already had like 1 million downloads or whatever. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but I'm sure they're pretty high. But yeah, like I don't see another thing I don't like is when it's obviously monetized, like Rainbow Six Siege. I was reading in beta, the multiplayer beta, well, the beta, in other words, you could have they had paid content, like in the
Wait.
beta.
In a beta? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it was basically, okay, you get to play this game before anybody else. You have to pay for the right to do it, which is fine, but then you have to pay for things that you have in the game? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
It does in the mind of Ubisoft.
Yeah, and I mean maybe that's the difference. I think in my opinion, like it's okay for indie guys to use early access and green light and stuff. But it's not really okay for I don't think the big guys need to use it.
No.
No, they don't need to. They definitely shouldn't be charging for it. I mean, it'd be good for them to get more people involved, but they shouldn't be charging more than like maybe $5.
I don't think they should be involved at all. It should be free if you're one of the big publishers because they have the assets to do quality testing. Some of these indie developers.
This is a cash saving measure for them.
Yeah, I know, and I just don't. I mean, if you're a fan and you really want to play it early, I guess it's okay. It's just, I think it's just kind of foolish if you're just like, oh wow, Ubisoft is charging $30 for an early access Assassin's Creed game that's going to be a buggy piece of shit when it launches anyway. So why don't you just wait till the final game comes out?
Yeah. Yeah, or better yet, wait until a year after the final game comes out and buy it on sale.
Because it's the exact same game.
It's the exact same game.
Yep.
It's going to have the exact same or more content. There's not going to be less content in the game after you start playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, though. Like, I feel like it's equal parts quality assurance, like QA, but it's also focus testing. So if you have a concept for a game and you go, I'm not sure if this concept is viable, like, I feel like this allows you to sort of make an educated opinion on whether or not your concept is viable. So it's kind of, sometimes that works really well. Like in the case of Kerbal, another one that did that really well was Minecraft, the one that started it all. Minecraft, it was released as an alpha. He was like, hey, if you pay me $10, you get access to the final version of the game that I'm going to retail for $30. And you're going to be there to like give me input on everything. Like Notch pretty much created the early access model. And then like by the end of it, he had this massive player base and all this other stuff. But at the same time, oh god damn it, I forgot where I was going with that. At the same time, not only are you getting the quality assurance, but you're getting the focus. You've got the ones like Space Base DF9, where it was high profile. They kickstarted it, which I think was their big mistake with that one. They kickstarted it first, then they went into early access, and then basically said this game is not profitable. We have to chop it. They rushed it to 1.0, and then said the mod community will add all the features that we don't have.
So we have to do their work?
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, like, why keep developing the game if it's not profitable? And I know that's like, I feel like kickstarting was their problem there. I felt like if they had just gone early access, and if people understood that early access meant we're going to see if this is a viable game, then it would be a completely different conversation that people were having. If they were going like early access is focus testing to see if the game is viable, and we're going to charge you $10, and if it works out into a full game, like you get the full game, which is going to retail for 30 or whatever, or for 20. Yeah. Like that's sort of the way it needs to be used, but it's not being used that way. It's more being used as we're going to base our funding model off of Kickstarter and early access. And then when it's not profitable or the company folds, it's like, oh shit, now we don't have a product and all the people who bought it are pissed off, which is exactly what happened with Space Base DF9. And if you look at the Psychonauts Kickstarter, the Psychonauts 2 Kickstarter, which really it's a FIG, I think it's called FIG is what they're doing. The crowdfunding for Psychonauts 2 is everybody's talking about Space Base DF9. The two big things that are coming up are Space Base DF9 and the conversation about Brutal Legend and what people didn't like about Brutal Legend, which to me was a marketing thing, and that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, but they are they Double Fine? Didn't they make Broken Age? And I mean, they delivered on that.
Everybody's mad because Broken Age got broken up into 2 games.
Well, the budget just expanded. I think wasn't that their excuse. Like the budget just got really big, and so they're like, "Well, let's make a bigger game."
And I think like people like to pick on Double Fine for that, where they were already feeling kind of butthurt because of Space Base, I'm pretty sure, and then it was like Broken Age. When it came out, like Broken Age was sort of what Broken Age was to Kickstarter, which at the time it was just called Double Fine Adventure. What Broken Age was to Kickstarter. Minecraft is the early access. So like Broken Age is the game that made everybody go, oh, hey, this Kickstarter thing could really make games. Like Double Fine is trying it out. Double Fine is trying to go full indie publisher with Broken Age. And like they ran out of money. They were the first ones to do it. Of course they ran out of money. Now we know that that's the danger of crowdfunding. I feel like crowdfunding and early access are also 2 completely different conversations because it's a completely different funding model. But that's also me talking from the perspective of like, somebody who looks at things that way, somebody who looks at the nuts and bolts of what's on the paper.
You ever think that with early access games, like people are a little more harsh of them? Like we're so used to having a finished game, well, supposedly, sometimes, that when you pick up an early access game and you're like, do you think a lot of people forget that it's early access and that really you're product testing?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like that's the major problem with the model is that people play an early alpha build. They go, there's not a lot here that makes me want to stick around. And this was a bigger problem years ago when early access was sort of a new thing, where people would play 15 minutes of Kerbal and be like, well, I used all the parts. It's really kind of boring now. And it's like, well, yeah, but there's like this career mode and science mode that's coming. You played like early sandbox mode, and you're basically like, this is a shitty game.
Yeah.
You know, which I don't agree with.
That's why I said earlier, it's like it's a big risk because there are some jaded just gamers in general that just, they think they're entitled to perfection right off the bat, and they get these opinions based off of, an early build. Like I've played early builds of AAA games and I'm just like, this is rough, but I can see what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
me and you have both been involved in focus testing, so we've both
Yeah.
had that experience of going to a game company. They give you an early alpha or beta build. They have you play around in it, and you go and ask you what you think, because they're just pretty much going like, all right, like if we release this, you're gonna buy it, right? And this is just a way of going like of guaranteeing that, and at the same time like saying, is this worth us spending more money on?
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: what early access games have you bought?
We're done.
Yeah, me and
Done,
you
co-
both got Verdun, but I think you actually backed Verdun in early access.
I did. I was in Verdun early on.
Arc.
Arc. Oh
That
my
one
god.
drives us nuts.
7 Days to Die.
7 Days to Die is actually seeing massive improvements. I think that's worth a revisit.
Yeah.
Okay, fair
can't-
enough.
Can't think of any. Well, Life is Futile. We haven't played it but that one time.
Yeah,
Which-
Life
yeah.
is Feudal looked okay.
It just-
I kind of like to revisit them now because I'm reading this book, but we'll talk about that later. But sort of all about the beginnings of Britain. It made me want to take a return to Life is Feudal because I was like, oh, I could see the beginnings of feudal society here, and blah blah blah.
Want to
blah.
build
But yeah,
yourself a little society and castle that I can tear down.
Ark is definitely one of those ones where I feel the entitled gamer in me coming out because
Well,
Ark,
It hasn't.
because all of their advertising materials show a different game than the one I'm playing.
yes.
I'm just like, I don't know how to do any of this. You don't have any way to tell me how to do any of this. I don't even think I want to learn it now.
And they haven't updated it since we got it. I don't recall of any major changes that have happened since we first downloaded Arc.
I feel like Ark is the current train wreck. Like Ark is the current space-based DF9. Ark is going to be the one everybody points to go. Ark and DayZ both. DayZ interests me. I love watching people play it. I read the subreddit of DayZ pretty often, and nobody is really impressed with it who's played it for any amount of time. And that's why it's not worth my $35 right now. Like I just don't see a lot of people in that player base sticking around when number one, it's a zombie game. There's supposed to be hordes and hordes of zombies. There were hordes and hordes of zombies in the Arma 2 version that made it fucking completely fucking crazy. And then like all of a sudden, like you'll see maybe a lone zombie now and again, and they're so glitchy. They will crash your game. They fuck with the netcode and like crash servers. Like it just, I don't know what they've done.
I have a feeling that ship has sailed for them. Like I just don't see the popularity anymore. Because I mean, it was great as a mod and it worked. And they're like, let's make a retail version of that. And then like years later, we don't have it. And I'm like, well, you snooze, you lose, I guess.
Yeah, DayZ is still in alpha.
How
is it possible to still be an alpha at this point? How have you not unfucked your netcode by this point?
They have I mean, there was already knockoffs that were released, and I mean, they're okay.
H1Z1's already been released.
That game
I'm
any
pretty
good?
sure.
I've watched people stream it. It looks okay.
H1Z1, I think, is the one that's okay. The one that I think it's the War Z is the one you have to avoid.
That
Yeah,
was-
War Z is the one that was a ripoff. It was the one that was kind of being shady.
Yeah, then they stopped it and then they re-released it. Let me see. I'm gonna see what version Daisy is in right now. Current version. Yeah. Still in alpha, it looks like. So, really? Like we're still
I mean, when was the mod introduced?
we're supposed to get 2016. We're supposed to get a full release. I don't see that happening. Mod was introduced in 2013, I want to say. Yeah, February 2013.
And it was towards the end of that year is when they announced the actual or making a retail version of it.
Yeah. And last year H1Z1 was released.
Yeah, I've watched it, and in H1Z1, I mean, it works. I haven't seen it. I mean, I'm sure it has its moments, but I mean, when I watch streams, I'm like, that looks kind of cool. I won't pay full price for it, but I think it's more than what I'll pay for early access because I think it's early access.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's H1Z1 was early access, yeah, but now it's a full game, and
Oh, okay.
I don't really know what's going on in there. But then, like on the other side, you have stuff like Starbound. I think Starbound is a great example. Subnautica is the same way. Like Starbound and Subnautica, I feel like are two games. They're putting out nightly builds. So whatever they added during that day, if you bought into and I think Starbound is $15 and Subnautica is 20, which I feel like are fair prices. I bought Subnautica for 14. And I bought Starbound. I think I might have paid full price for Starbound. I'm not sure. I bought it a long time ago, back when it was in alpha. I think it's in beta now. But Starbound has nightly builds, so anything new they implement, like you can opt into the experimental build program and go, okay, I can see all these new features. I can tell you how they work. I can tell you what I like and I don't like about them. And Subnautica is the same way, where you have the experimental build that just adds everything new as it's being added, which they just added a big beta update or a big alpha update, I think, not too long ago. But like both of those games play like complete games. Like the framework, if they released Starbound tomorrow, nobody would be mad about it.
God, the frame rate in Ark.
Oh, we're going back to shitting on Ark? Because I really love doing that.
I mean, I suppose we could, but you mentioned frame rate, and God, unless you're playing by yourself, which there is no point in playing that game by yourself.
I mean,
It's
I would.
Minecraft Dinosaur Slideshow 2015.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
I hope when it finally is released, it is as good as they say it will be. It's just, I play it now and I'm like, you have this much money and these many resources, and this is what you have, and you're wanting to release it on a console, and it looks like shit on a console. All right.
It's not optimized for the computer. Why the hell would it be optimized for the console? Like the optimization is bad. The gameplay is just not that fun.
Well, there's nothing really to do.
I mean, it's like you can go and chop down trees or pick up berries or pick up vines, and then you can make stuff. And as you make stuff, you level up. But it's like, number one, like, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Unless you just really want to build like a world for your own little kingdom, I mean, there's not a whole lot to do. It would benefit a lot from like having established societies like of NPCs for you to interact with.
Well, and the learning curve. I just hate the learning curve.
Oh, there's no fucking tutorial or any explanation.
I mean, Terraria is. I mean, they teach you how to play that game quick. I mean, my fucking 7-year-old plays that game better than me. And I mean, you don't even need to do the tutorial in Terraria to be like, this does this, this does this. In Ark, it's like, okay, how do I get a dinosaur? Okay, what's a narco berry?
Why can't I survive? Why do I keep getting hungry? Because I eat all these foods.
Why am I
poop a lot?
constantly eating and dying in this game? Why is it any time I step foot into the ocean, I immediately get murdered? Like the Ark just has this crazy learning curve, and on top of that, like it seems like they're trying to shove features in there so that it makes it sort of flashy, but then like it sort of suffers because of like the rest of the infrastructure of the game isn't quite there. So like playing on a local server, this is a thing I've never seen before. Even Minecraft doesn't fucking do this. Minecraft has one of the biggest worlds possible on a computer, you know? But like the tethering, that was
Oh, fucking hell.
easily turned me off of the multiplayer right there.
Yeah, if you're on a private server, you cannot get. I think it's like 160 meters or so. Past that, they start telling you are too far away from the host.
Yeah. So basically, because your game is shittily optimized, you're gonna force me into having fun the way you say I should have fun. And I don't like it. And I know that that's probably early. That's probably an early build of it. But fuck, dude. Ark has been out. Let's see. How long has Ark been out?
Let me take a look.
Ark has been out way too fucking long. I can tell you that right now.
Initial release June 2nd, 2015.
Yeah,
I like how we're a bunch of entitled gamers right now.
Well,
but I mean,
we
like,
paid pretty good money for
The
Ark.
the expectations for Ark, I mean, they need to be there because I mean, they say this, they show a video of this, and I'm like, I don't see that at all.
okay, so I'm gonna compare Ark. So let's just say Ark is the Xbox. We're gonna say, okay, it's early access. It's become the early access leader on Xbox One. It's the first one to do it on console. You know, like what's going on here? Like, let's try and figure out what's going on with Ark. Number one, like I said, it's just feature glut. You know, it's just shove as many features as you can in there to get people to play your game.
All flash, no fire.
But like, if your infrastructure's not there, it's like it runs like DayZ, you know, or you know, if there's a bunch of loopholes for hackers to get in, then it becomes DayZ, and it just becomes this extended development because you're trying to shove in features and shove in features and shove in features when you should be taking a look at the infrastructure to make sure it just runs smoothly and does the things you want it to do and make it do the things you want it to do later. But like right now, like I feel like these are places like I don't feel like that's too much to ask that the game runs smoothly. At this point in time, like, what else are you working on? Why are you trying to add 1,600 dinosaurs? Like, that's the thing that gets me about Ark. Every update is, oh, we added dung beetles. Oh, we added, you know, rad scorpions or whatever. Oh, we added a dragon that you have to, you know, like, we added all this dumb shit that doesn't make the gameplay better. But then compare that, if we're gonna say early access games first on the console, The Long Dark, which, Steve, I think you played a demo of The Long Dark?
Yeah, I did it on Xbox.
What did you think about it on Xbox One?
Very good, very polished. I'm honestly, I would be surprised if that game doesn't release very soon because all that was missing was the story mode, which I'm very interested in. The gameplay, I mean, they don't really explain a lot, just like Ark, but at the same time, it's kind of like that is that game. But the way it looked, the way it worked, I mean, I downloaded that and Ark because they have them both on Xbox One and whatever their version of early access is, and it was just way better than Ark. Ark sucked.
Ark is, when you put it up against The Long Dark, Ark is just terrible. Ark is a failure as a game compared to The Long Dark, which in early alpha already has the survival mechanics, already has the frame rate issues worked out, the optimization worked out, already has like animal AI in it that makes sense and doesn't just like do stupid glitchy stuff. Like you walk around and you're like, oh, there's a deer. What is that running toward the deer? Oh shit, it's a wolf. And like if you don't kill the wolf tries to protect its kill, and like there's all these dynamics going on, and I feel like they just focused on a smaller, simpler game to start with. And they said, well, you know what? It's acceptable now to add things to your game after release. So I kind of feel like early access is where your engine itself gets refined.
Yeah.
And if
I can
it's
see
not,
that.
Yeah. And if it's not, like, what the fuck are you doing? You know?
Conning people out of money.
I kind of feel that way, you know?
Yeah, I really think they are.
I mean,
But like I said, there's also examples where it's done really well, you know. The Long Dark being one of them, Starbound being another one. Minecraft, as soon as he realized that people were expecting real development, he went and hired a team. He had all this money and he went and hired a team because he understood that was what was required in software. Whereas all these other guys, it's like they all of a sudden some YouTube personality plays their game in early access. Everybody goes and buys that game. Everybody starts pushing for that game to get made. And instead of going like, okay, well, I need to hire a bigger team now because obviously I have more funding, they go, well, just so you know, funding's going to be glacial, or development's going to be glacial, like fucking Ark is, or like DayZ is. DayZ at this point, I think, is made by the same people who do Arma 2. I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure. So Bohemia purchased a new development team who work as, Bohemia Interactive, I'm pretty sure, is the people who do DayZ. And they're the same people who do Arma 2. And they're using DayZ as sort of a place to make Arma 4, weirdly enough.
How long do you think it's acceptable for a game to be in early access?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, there should be an actual expectation of when the product will be delivered.
I mean, 6 months, like, we give Ark a hard time, but it's been like 6 months, which... That's all right for an early access, though they haven't been doing a damn thing with it, fixing anything. But would you say like a year maybe at the most?
I'd say 2 years. So, like, I'm willing to give Ark more time. Like, I haven't completely given up on it. It's not living up to what it's telling me it's going to be right now. It feels clunky. It feels really rough. It feels like one of those games that's it's going to be overrun by Russian spammers and Chinese gold farmers, you know? That's what it feels like to me. Like, it's going to be a bunch of creepy Russian dudes playing Ark like it is DayZ or like it is Arma, you know? And they're just going to run around and, you know, with dudes that look like Papa. Maybe I just had a bad experience in Ark. And I even tried to give it a second chance playing with you and Chris the other night, Dave. But it was like, to get to where we were having fun, we had to cheat.
Yep.
We had to like summon dinosaurs and then cheat to tame them because there's no tutorial, there's no story, there's no nothing. There's nothing in the game that tells you where to go or what to do. It's just, well, you're hungry. You better eat these berries and hope they don't make you pass out.
That's true. Those damn narco bears. Here's another question for you. What was I going to say?
Good question.
That is a good question. Do you think like some developers, when they do early access, like you should really have a end game in mind? You shouldn't be coming up with new features while you're doing an early access. Do you think some companies don't realize that, so they start just trying to make a bunch of different things that weren't in the original plan?
It's a lot like the beginning of crowdfunding, I think. I think it's still early access itself is still in early access.
It's like, hey, we got all this extra money from all this early access. We can do other things, but we don't have the product finished. So
I think they try to do a little bit of what Peter Molyneux did for, you know, every game. It's just they promise and they don't fix what they've already made. Like, if you just optimize what you're making currently before you start adding other shit, then you're just going to have a lot of shit that just doesn't run.
And I mean, on the flip side of that, you know, early access being an early access, Kickstarter, like, we realized things about Kickstarter in the last 2 years. Like, what makes or breaks a Kickstarter is stretch goals. And stretch goals can make your game awesome because people want to fund more to get those features, or they can make your game burn because you overpromised and you can't deliver it at that point. Like, that was where Double Fine sort of got into trouble with Broken Age, because there was never a thing that said this might be 2 games, you know? And they even gave Broken Age 2, which is, you know, just the continuation of Broken Age 1, they even gave the second half of Broken Age to Kickstarter backers for free, I believe, you know? Which I feel like was a good thing. But then, like, it's one of those things. It's like, are you really realistically doing things that are within your budget? You know, are you really making sure that your budget is not getting fucked by adding all these features and doing all this stuff? And like, we're talking about optimization, like the entire player base also would just go, hey, like, we understand you're trying to get your game to run smoother. It's cool. You don't have to add any new dinosaurs for 6 months. But like the truth is that most Ark players, if they didn't see visceral change in the game that they could touch, they would just abandon the game altogether.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I get that.
So I kind of feel like we're approaching a balance of like back end and features, but we're not there yet. And Ark and DayZ are definitely the two that have favored features over back end optimization, which both of them need it bad.
All right. Anybody else? I mean, I have no follow to that. That's
Fuck Ark. That's what we say.
pretty much. That's what this discussion turned into.
But if you are a developer of Ark, it's a great game. You should give us free copies to give away.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not going to play it, but great game.
Help us
Great
prove
game.
you wrong.
Oh, we might play it. We might get drunk and fuck around with it.
I will play the final version. I mean, I own the motherfucker, so I'm going to have to. I'm going to get my $24 worth. But
I mean,
goddamn.
I'm definitely going to play the final version, but I mean, at this point, I don't have high hopes for it.
I mean, I watched that trailer that's on their Steam page, and I was like, I can do all of these things. And turns out I cannot run this game at all.
Yeah, what is it? In the trailer, you see all those dinosaurs and
You got
these
fucking-
epic battles and shit.
Yeah, you got like these underground levels where there's like waterfalls made of lava and you're jumping over shit and riding pterodactyls, and I'm like, God damn it, this looks cool.
Do you think maybe with Ark they're really planning more for like a single player experience? Or do you think it's always going
I think Ark is going to be an MMO. I think Ark
Yeah.
is going for the MMO model.
Yeah.
I just think so many of these games, I just think they would work better with a single player. I mean, I guess part of me is biased because, of course, I'm into storytelling. That's actually pretty much why I got into gaming back in the 90s, is because it was basically an interactive book,
Yeah.
so it was easier to keep my attention.
Yeah. And I'm kind of with you. Like, if you're not a person who's really into emergent gameplay, like, I feel like even in sandbox mode, The Long Dark tells amazing stories. They're not like outlandish stories. They don't have plot twists. It's very simple stories, but they're great stories. It's you crashed your plane, you're in the middle of this blizzard wasteland, go find something to make yourself survive, you know? Like, and a story emerges because of that. Like, there were great times when it was like, oh God, I'm starving to death. I have to go out and try to find food. So I'm going to walk out with my lantern in the middle of a blizzard. And oh God, now I'm hypothermic. So you know what? What I'm going to do is like lay down in the blizzard because my lantern went out. I'm going to cover up in my sleeping bag and wait the blizzard out and keep warm until morning. And then
Die.
And then you die from hypothermia. And it's like, okay, that's a great ending. That's great emergent gameplay. But then you have Ark, which is just like you're on an island for some reason, and you have a thing in your arm for some reason, and there's dinosaurs for some reason.
And there's this glowing shit somewhere.
And if you go and get the glowing shit, you can find things that you could make anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, you don't really need like a story necessarily in an early access. Like Verdun doesn't have any kind of story, but it has to make sense what you're doing. Like obviously in Verdun it's World War I, so
It's a multiplayer shooter.
yeah, so you know what's going on. Some games like Ark, I'm not so sure about DayZ. I haven't read much about it, but they just throw you into a world. It just pisses me off. It seems like a waste of money when I can't even figure out just by looking around what the end goal is or what I'm trying to accomplish.
I mean, in Minecraft, you can pretty much figure out what to do. You don't need to be a genius to be like, I need a tool. Well, there's a tree. Let me go punch this tree and see what happens.
Oh, hey, I punched the tree and I got wood. And
Yeah.
now I can take that wood and I can make planks.
And
You
you
know,
really
and
likes
if I
his
use
wood.
these planks, like, and then you learn to experiment with the box to try and make different things. But
Yeah, they do that in
Minecraft
Ark.
also has a built-in tutorial that tells you what to do.
exactly.
It's like step 1 is make a wooden pickaxe so you can mine stone. And then once you have your wooden pickaxe, like you can make a stone pickaxe, once you've mined enough stone. And then once you have your stone pickaxe, then you can start digging around for iron. Once you have iron, you can there's a progression, and it's that was very early in the alpha that Notch added a tutorial. That was just basically the achievement system that exists in Minecraft now, which is A to Z. This is how you progress through the game, and it gave that open world game a shape. Ark is lacking that, and DayZ is definitely lacking that. Both of them rely way too much on emergent gameplay.
Yeah.
Oh, anybody else got anything else to add for
No,
early
that
access?
pretty much is it. We're
Okay, so
entitled.
right now, you guys just agree or disagree. I'm going to name some early access games. We're going to go down the list. We've already talked about DayZ. We've already talked about Space Base. Kerbal Space Program. What did you guys think? Did you guys play that in early access or see it in early access?
I saw it. It looked good.
I did not see it in early access. I've seen the final version. It looks cool.
Would you call it a success?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys saw me play some Subnautica? What do you think of that game? Do you think that looks pretty good? Would you play it?
Oh yeah, that looks really good.
That does look interesting.
I want multiplayer though.
Here's the big question, and this is going back to the price thing, and this is something I'm really interested in hearing y'all's thoughts on, because it's sold me, but I'm curious if it's sold you. Is Star Citizen?
What about it?
Well, what do you think? Have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it. It looks cool. Can you buy an early access version of it now?
Yeah. It costs you at base. It basically has a flex funding thing, because they're selling you the multiplayer, the single player, and then an in-game ship. So you're getting a package, but it's $45 to buy in right now.
I wouldn't do that.
Not for an early access game.
No,
You should never pay more than $20 for early access.
It's not finished. I don't care what all they give you, but I can just wait for the final version. It just seems like they're just begging for money so they can finish making their fucking game. When
Well,
they
they
have
never even
a ton of
started.
money.
That's the thing.
Wait, the game hasn't started?
The game hasn't been released yet. No.
Okay.
It's an alpha. The alpha, the playable test alpha was just released with the open universe and stuff.
Yeah.
But you're also able to earn ships with in-game currency. It's not like you have to buy the ship, and then you're stuck with it for the whole time. Once the actual game releases, you just use that ship to get yourself a little further. But they're also doing things like selling ships that don't exist yet. So I don't know. It sounds like you guys aren't a fan of their funding model at all.
That sounds just like microtransactions in games.
It's more like macrotransactions, because
they're huge purchases, but similar concept. Oh, you want this? Well, it's a lot quicker to buy it.
How far does that game have left in development?
I don't know. They're doing it module by module. I think right now they have the universe module completed. They're going to have a first-person shooter module in it. And then it's also got a single-player story campaign, which is a different module. And then there's other stuff like trading and all the stuff that Elite kind of does right now, but doesn't do real well, is supposed to be in the game at the end. So I don't know when they're talking about release.
Well, it better live up to people's expectations, because it's gonna put a bad taste in people's mouth when they see this game. That how many millions of dollars is it? Over 100 million, or?
Yeah, they just broke 100 million funding.
That's fucking crazy.
But keep in mind, that's the budget of a normal AAA game, and they're making a game that is easily 10 times in the length. Squadron 42, the single-player campaign, is probably going to be a 50-60 hour, investment.
It better be. Is there any proof that says that, or they just say it will be? Because
you're kind of going all on their word right now.
Yeah.
That's sort of the bad part about it.
They better deliver their promise.
But I will say this about Star Citizen is the first thing they did when they got the money was they attempted to make their engine work great. It was, okay, we have this concept. It is space battles. It is Newtonian physics. that means it's not like Star Wars where everything flies like a plane for some reason, or Elite for that matter, where everything flies like a plane for some stupid reason.
Or pretty much any space-based game.
Yeah.
Any space-based like shooter, yeah. Everything flies like a plane.
Yep.
So this is like one of the first games where it's like, okay, thrust and direction, like velocity is more important than like flight. It's a velocity-based model more than flight. So you basically have the ability to like turn your ship 360 degrees while moving in any direction, which makes dogfighting a completely different animal.
That's cool.
And that works. Like at this point, the physics engine works. Like everything I've seen about it. I've seen people pull Top Gun slam on the brakes maneuvers. I think I sent you guys that video. I'll make sure I link it down here. I've seen people doing kind of like Cobra stands. Like, I don't know if you guys know what Cobra stands are. It's basically like in an airplane where you're moving forward. You basically somersault the plane backwards to fire a missile, which is a technique that the Super Flanker does, the Su-37. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. So I mean, that right now they're focusing on getting the base of the game in there, which I appreciate. So I'm kind of in. It looks like 2016 is going to see the release of part 1 of Squadron 42, about 70 missions worth of gameplay with about 20 hours estimated. Which I honestly feel like it's probably going to be a lot more than 20 hours.
Here's something about Star Citizen I don't like. So they've got $100 million. So basically, there is no risk on their end. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's sort of the problem with early access period.
Well, yeah, but they should have to put up something. And now we've given them all this money that we don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's to me that's the whole reason early access exists. Is somebody has a concept and I want to see them make it a reality, and you kind of have to put your faith in early access in order for that to happen.
I don't know. I mean, early access should be like, we have this concept and we've started working on it, so they've spent money and they've done design work. Now you have a game to play, but if they just keep doing it like this, we're just going to fund the whole thing.
I look at it like you would investing in anything. Sometimes investments don't work, and I mean, you can take a loss from this. I mean, they should be held liable for something, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes shit falls through, and I mean, that's what happens. You just lost money.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a risk you're taking, and if you're gonna fund something in early access, that's where if you're funding something in early access, that's where that's what their funding model is early access, and you're taking that risk in the beginning just by doing something in early access.
Well, where I sit is, I could just wait till it's released because I've been doing that already for games. I don't have a problem doing that.
That's pretty much what we've been doing since we started gaming.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if I really thought it was worth it, I would take the risk. But at the same time, I'm like, or I can take no risk and I can wait for it to be released. And, I can see, because what hinges my decisions on buying games is I go and watch gameplay on YouTube. And I'm like, that looks fun. I don't really base it off of reviews or anything. But, I just don't want to pay $10 while they just, farted out an idea, but they haven't really made anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will be probably next month, the month after, I'll probably go ahead and get my Star Citizen pledge in there because I'm looking forward to playing it. So maybe we'll do some Let's Plays over at my place.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And we could talk more about the early access and maybe Star Citizen in specific in a later episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all I got today. How about you guys?
No.
Yeah, that about does it.
Yep, I kind of wish our original iteration of this conversation wasn't fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was probably a better conversation.
If anybody would like that iteration of this conversation, if you don't mind the clicky, shitty audio, I'd be willing to wrap it up in an MP3 and post it somewhere, just not on our iTunes channel, because we're trying to keep the quality pretty high.
Or you can crowdfund our podcast, and we promise to deliver an audio file an audio file of some quality at one point.
Well, don't shit on that too much, man. We're gonna have a Patreon up by the end of the year.
Well,
We'll see.
Just saying.
It's okay.
But
Patreon.
yeah. So in the meantime, make sure you guys following us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Beardyheads. You can find us over on Facebook, facebook.com/thebeardyheads. Find me on Twitter at Whole Enchilada. Find the Beardyheads on Twitter at Beardyheads. You find Steve on Twitter at SBFought. Dave's not on Twitter.
no. Well, I am, but I just creep around without an account.
Dave looks at Twitter. Dave knows what Twitter is.
I know it exists. I know it's a thing. I get some information from it.
Bumper music today provided by the Adam Wade, who was nice enough to contact me about having some free music of his featured on the podcast.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Adam. We really appreciate it. We look forward to having some more of your awesome tunes on here.
And now I'm gonna have to go listen to his tunes.
Yes, I'll make sure and send them to you. In the meantime, I'm Jake.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Dave.
Eat it and eat it hard.
Closing statement.
No, I'm not doing catchphrases. Fuck you guys.
Oh, that's a good one.